Welcome to the International Teacher Podcast with your host, Kent the Cat Guy, Jacqueline from JP Mint Consulting, Darian the Family Guy, and Greg the Single Guy, bringing you episodes from around the world about the best kept secret in teaching. You got it, international education. Welcome to the show.
Hey folks, welcome to another episode of the International Teacher Podcast. I am Jacqueline from JP Mint Consulting, and I'm joined by Greg, the Single Guy. Hey, Greg.
How you doing, JP? I got some news.
What's your news?
Well, before we introduce our guest, I just have to plug this because it's so new for me. We just did an episode. By the time you've listened to this, we're airing one tonight. It's being uploaded right now. And Rita Bateson was on our show before, and she told us all about AI, and people should listen to it. It aired officially on November 15th, but we recorded it back in August. And here's my point, and then we'll get to you, Karen, okay? But I wanted to share this out because it's brand new for me. I made an app for teachers, and it's for teachers that don't know names of students. So you can basically do a test flight, a beta test for me, and any of our listeners out there, even later on after this airs, you can do a beta test for free. And my goal is to give all the beta testers the app for free anyway. It's only going to be like $3. But hey, everybody wants something free and useful. Oh my God. Karen, JP and Karen, everybody, what you can do is you can upload a list or add students yourself, take pictures if you want. It's all locally on your phone. And then if you want to add your own, that's fine. You can upload a whole class from a list from your IT guy or IT girl, and then you can modify those lists. Once you have the students in there or you add more, you can play name games like name that student or match the picture to the name. And it's amazing. And what I did was I created, not to go too far into it, but there's some black magic in there. So if you are playing the name game to learn student names, the more you, look at the cat. The more, where Kent would be so happy. Anyway, as you learn the game, as you learn more students' names, the more you get them correct, the more they're taken out of the lineup. So there's a pool of students that you don't know. And as you get to know them, it takes them out of that pool. But it only asks you once in a while in the game just to keep you playing. Like, I finally got one right. Oh, that's right, because I knew them already. You know what I mean? So they're weighted. You do
need photos, because otherwise, how are you figuring out the name?
Well, absolutely, but there's several ways to add photos. You can add them singly by files. You can go into your photos of your iPhone and do it, or you can take picture of the student after you've added them to your list. You can do it on the fly. So anyway, that's my plug for the new app.
So you're going to put all that information in the show notes.
Yeah, it's called Who's That Student?
Who's That Student?
I wanted to name it something a little bit more, a little bit more sassy, but
okay.
Anyway, that's my plug. We never do this on the show, Karen.
And I never do it
can't wait to introduce our host, our guest, but I had to plug it. I've spent weeks on it, okay?
I had a feeling that was it, because I saw you plaster your post everywhere in social media. Greg never posts on LinkedIn. I saw a LinkedIn post. He never posts on Facebook.
Personally, no.
I saw a Facebook post. Yeah. So I was like, okay, somebody's excited about his app.
Yes, I am. I'm so excited for the people to use it, and it's really cool, but I need feedback, and it's free right now. So definitely the more people that use it, give me feedback. We'll put the link in there, and you can email me for a link, etc. I'm done. And we're going to start with Caryn Pelletier. Did I say your name right, Karen?
It depends on where you're from. So anytime I'm in a Francophone location, they say Pelletier. If I'm not, then they try all sorts of alliterations of it. I usually go by the very anglicized version of just Pelletier.
Well, I tell you what, Miss Pelletier, Karen, you've been so patient while I've been blabbering about my stuff during our introduction, because we love podcasts to be right away, boom, right to the guest. But I had to do that. So I'm sorry, I won't do it anymore.
I was kind of laughing to myself while you were talking about this app, because, as a teacher in the Middle East, when we have our students, there's only about 3 possible options for the boys' names.
Yep.
So,
Muhammad.
Muhammad, Abdullah.
Khalid, you
And
know.
Muhammad has
okay.
like 50 different spellings.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're just calling out their name and you go, hey, Muhammad, you are pretty sure that you're going to get the right name.
So you're coming from the Middle East. You're calling in right now from Bahrain, right?
That's correct.
All right, listeners, we're in for it. This is going to be a special presentation. I can't wait. So what are we going to talk about, Caryn?
You guys can choose the topics. I have some amusing stories. My husband and I have been teaching internationally for, I think it's 24 or 25 years now. I'm not 100% sure.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah, really, we've been doing it for a really long time. We've been in a lot of locations. Our favorite saying is, it wasn't a good time, but it makes a good story.
Yeah. Oh my God. So let's hold it right there. Let's start with that. That's a perfect segue. I don't know if you planned this ahead of time or not, but that's perfect segue. Give us the elevator version of your transition, about your journey in education, right? So you come from the States originally, I would guess, and include all those places for us. So yeah.
Okay.
Go.
So I used to work in like high finance and startup companies. And I was working for this little company. It was a startup. This was obviously 25 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that, actually. And the president of the company, the CEO, developed a crush on me. And he was gross. He was married with children and stuff. And he started stalking me.
Total dog.
So, yep. So this is just a little bit of background. So I was mortified. I sued him and won. And I used that money to kind of like take some time to figure out what I wanted to do next. And so I took a job as an ed tech at a Title I school in Maine. And I fell in love with it. I'd not considered teaching in the past, but I absolutely loved working with these kids. It was just it was where I knew I wanted to be. So I finished out the school year doing that. And then I decided to go back to school to get my teaching certification. And while I was doing that, because the schedule's a little bit wonky, you know how it is with teaching and the classes and stuff, they're usually at night. So I had a lot of my mornings free. So I decided I'll go to a water aerobics class at the university. I was at University of New England. And the group of people in my class were all retirees. So, you know, there's me, not quite 30, and then there's all these retirees there. And we started talking and getting to know one another. And one of the gentlemen had retired out of a Department of Defense school in Japan. And so he started telling me about this whole world out there that I didn't know about, where you could be living abroad and teaching, doing something that you love. And it just blew my mind. So I started researching it and looking into it. I had applied to the DODIA website, but you know how it is with U.S. government stuff. Everything takes 6 months and then it's like, drop everything. We need you tomorrow. So while I was waiting for that, I can't remember how, but somebody turned me into Search Associates. So I started looking into that, getting ready for the process, you know, continuing my certification and everything else. And I went to a job fair in Maryland in June. Now, you guys know that's really, really late in the year for recruiting. I did not know that. This is my first time.
Yeah, you thought you were right on time because it's the end of the school year.
International, not for the States. At least Wisconsin wasn't like that. It was like you wouldn't be hired until August or something. But for international, right.
Yes,
right.
I didn't know.
June.
So anyway, so I went to the job fair. And it was one of those places where you walk up to a table, you give them your CV, they look at it and they say, wow, so you know what a child is. Great. We'd like to offer you a contract. Because by that time of the year, they're desperate, you know. So like within an hour.
You have your certification, you're ready to teach.
Yep. So, you know, they literally, like within an hour, I had 3 job offers.
Wow.
So yeah, it was just a matter of, you know, deciding where to go. And I chose Egypt. I had visited Egypt a few years before that. I had always wanted to go. So I signed up with a tour and went and just loved it. So I'm like, yeah, that's where I want to go. So that was my first placement.
Was that CAC or was it something else? You don't have to say.
No, I wish it was CAC. No, it was the American International School of Egypt.
Got it.
Which is one of the ESOL schools.
I did too.
Yeah,
we'll talk later.
I wonder, because I think there's a couple campuses. I wonder if it's the same campus.
No, so the original campus was out on Ismailia Road. That was the original main campus 25 years ago. And then I was actually hired to work on their Heliopolis campus, which was an old Greek villa. It was gorgeous, gorgeous. And all they had was early childhood there. It was
I was
beautiful.
only there like 2004 to 5. So I was only there for 1 year and the old stuff back then. But okay, so you went to Egypt first.
I went to Egypt first, and that's where I met my husband.
Huh.
He was on the bus as part of the orientation welcoming committee. So we met. We didn't get hook up for, I don't know, a couple of months anyway. I had to pursue him, believe it or not. He was completely oblivious to me. But
so he was already there.
He was already there, right?
Okay.
He's a high school math teacher. So we did our 1 year in Egypt, and then he'd already decided he was leaving to Ghana. So that was our next placement. So I also got a job at the same school. We were at what's it called?
Lincoln School?
Lincoln, yeah, Lincoln Community School, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, we'll have to talk later because I got another buddy that taught there for a while.
Wow,
Go
it's
ahead.
a small world.
I know.
Small world.
So that was our next placement. Great place to be. Kids were amazing, just absolutely wonderful kids. Life was a little bit challenging. I mean, it is what a lot of people would consider to be a hardship posting. And that leads me into one of my wasn't a good time, but makes a funny story segments. So there was a group of us traveling to the beach there. It's called Anamabu, and it's about a 2-hour drive from Accra. You have to leave first thing Saturday morning. You can't drive at night over there because locals will throw things out in the road to make your car break down, and then you have to go to the nearest station to get things fixed. So you have to drive in daylight. So we had done that, and we had like 4 or 5 cars because there were a huge bunch of us going to this place. And somehow we were able to call one another. I don't remember how. And my friend Leslie was a couple of cars ahead. And she calls and she's like, all right, there's a checkpoint coming up. They're asking for money. I gave him my peanut butter crackers and he seemed fine with it. So going through their bags, I'm like, oh, I have a granola bar. That's what I'll get.
Snack checkpoint.
Everybody's getting food ready.
Everyone's getting food. We're like, here you go. We heard this
Snack
is all
bribe.
you need. So we did that. So that was a fun little side tour there. Yeah, Ghana was an interesting place to live. Yep. Cockroaches.
You were elementary or early years still, or
I was kindergarten. I was a kindergarten teacher there. The first apartment that the school put us in, we had cockroaches galore. I mean, that's to be expected. You're in developing Africa.
This big, like in Mexico?
Cockroaches.
Yeah, like that big.
Yeah.
They were good size, like the kind where if they fly into your head, you get a bruise. That kind. Yeah. So we had that. We had bugs everywhere. There was something wrong with the water tank. Like they put the pressure up too high, so it was pulling sand. So as you showered, you kind of got this like facial and exfoliation. So we had that going on. The electricity, you had to prepay your electricity with a card. And the apartment building owner was supposed to do that, but would usually not do that. So, everything was always in the dark. Then we were on the top floor, and you know how they put the water tanks up on the roof? Something sprung a leak. So one night while we're sleeping, it's like drip, drip on the head. And turns out the water tank is leaking and collapse is imminent.
Stories of developing countries.
Rooftop collapse.
Oh, there's one yet to come though. So we were leaving, I think that day or the next day, we were going to be traveling, I think, to Lebanon to visit my husband's family. And I'm walking through the apartment. I'm like, I smell something burning. Something's burning. And they burn everything there. So I'm looking out the windows, like, I don't see anyone burning anything. And I can smell it right in this one area in the villa, not the villa, the apartment. So I'm walking around trying to figure out what it is. And I'm like, it's this spot. And I touch the wall and the wall's hot.
The wall's burning.
The wall is burning. So we called the maintenance guy. They came over, dug into the wall. They had put pretty much every major appliance on one circuit, and it had caught fire. So all the wires were melting. And like, thank God we had noticed it that day, because we were traveling the next day. Like, the place would have burned down.
That's what happens when they use tape to add the wires together. You know, they twist them and then they
Oh
use
my
tape.
God. This
But-
is the
Good
same.
thing you caught that.
Weren't the walls concrete or sand? I mean, they're usually
They are
not
concrete and
wood
sand,
or.
but there's still wires going all the way through them, and that's what will burn
But
it.
they'll
So plus
catch
the
fire and
paint,
then.
the lead-based paint and things like that. This
Oh
is the
my
same
gosh.
place where one time my phone wasn't working, so I took it to a kiosk, and I'm like, my phone's not charging. I don't know what's going on. So he takes the plug, plugs it into the wall, and then takes the part that goes into my phone, puts it in his mouth. He's like,
Of course.
oh yeah, it's your charger. It's not working. Dude.
Okay. He's the tester.
That's how they tested the electricity. Yeah, he's like, yeah, you need a new charger. I'm like, oh my God, how did you?
My friend Ruben always says, I have seen some shit. And that's exactly your point, right? Oh my
It falls
God.
into that category. What the hell?
And that's just Ghana.
Yeah, so
right?
that was
Yeah.
Ghana. We did 2 years in Ghana, and then we took a posting in Italy.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's
Plenty
what
of
we
Sydney
Another
thought.
pay.
hardship post.
Well, Italy is so ass backwards. Oh my God. The bureaucracy is mind boggling. I had to get a visa before we could go, and I had to go from Maine down to Boston to the consulate down in Boston. You know what driving through Boston's like. And it's just this one gentleman working there who had to be 65 years old if a day. And he was like the soup Nazi. If you were missing something, no visa for you, go. And he would make you leave, and you had to reschedule it for the following week. So I'm sweating bullets. I'm thinking, crap, I'm sure I've missed something. I'm sure I have. But I thought I would use my feminine wiles, and I got up to the counter and squeezed the girls together and cooed in my nicest voice, you poor man, are you the only one working here? That's terrible. Oh my goodness. Do you get a break or anything? He ate it up. I got my visa.
Oh,
I was missing
nice.
things too. For sure, I was missing things.
My mother always said you catch more flies with honey. And I always thought, yeah, but I don't want to be honey. I want to be vinegar.
Did you go to, yeah, that's you, JP, right? Okay, yeah, vinegar. Karen, did you go to Milan or did you go somewhere else?
We were posted in Genoa. It was ironic, you know, you're in like one of the coolest countries in the world, like the art, the history, there's so much to see and do.
You can't afford it.
We can't afford anything. We couldn't afford jack shit. Like, we were going to happy hours just for the buffets.
Right.
It was like being
if they
in
had strip clubs, you'd be going there for the free buffet. So I hear.
Whatever, yeah. Like, if you bought one drink, you could have access to the buffet. So that's what we were doing.
Aperitivo,
yeah.
And
but, I mean, it was still cool.
I've never heard there's an international school in Genoa.
At the time, it was called the American International School of Genoa, but I think they've changed the name. They've dropped the American part of it. So this school, so teaching in Genoa, it's on the coast. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. Our school was across the street from the ocean. It was absolutely stunning. But it gets cold there in the wintertime. And the way it works for heating systems there is there's kind of like a mayor type person for each neighborhood. And this person decides when the heat can go on, like by year, like is in October whatever, and when it goes off. They also decide what time of the day the heat goes on and what time it goes off.
Oh my God. Whatever's best for them.
Bureaucracy.
We were there during the coldest winter on record, like for the last 20 years. So, you know, the heat would go on in our school. We had private heat in our apartment, thank goodness. The heat would go on in our school at 6 o'clock in the morning. It was off by 8 a.m.
Just in time for students.
Just in time for students. So every day I'm wearing long underwear to school. I've got my vest on, you know, you're wearing mittens. The kids are all wearing their jackets in the classroom. My husband's teaching in like a little villa. He's got like 7 students in his class, teaching 2 different levels of IB. He's wearing the gloves with the cut off fingers so he could still hold on to the whiteboard markers, which were freezing, by the way. So that was Italy. But we were there during the Winter Olympics, which was very, very cool. We were on a bus, just talking about, wouldn't it be cool if we could go to the Olympics? I wonder how we could get tickets. And these two guys from New York overheard us. And they're like, oh, like we bought one of those packages, where you just pay whatever and you get all these tickets. And some of them are at the same time. Like, we're not going to be able to go to some of these. So they're like, we'll check and see what we have. Maybe we've got some extra tickets for you. They did. It was to a hockey match, the United States and Slovakia. And then, so we got tickets to see an Olympic hockey game. Yay.
Yes.
And then one of the people that we worked with knew someone who lived in Milan where they were. So we had a free place to stay. So so we got ourselves up there.
The stars aligned.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like, there's a lot of crap that happens, but there's a lot of really cool things too. We just met such neat people. We got to go to an Olympic hockey game and walk around the Olympic Village. It was really, really neat. Very, very fun.
Yeah, that's the European lifestyle. Instead of being paid a lot, you get the European lifestyle and you sort of trade off. And where did you go after that? Somewhere you could make some money, or did you do the trade-off again?
So far, I'm not hearing a lot of money.
Not
we
that
went
that's
to
important.
Tanzania after that, to Dar es Salaam. So loved it there. You are in nature. I've got mongoose running by my classroom window. There are peacocks in the trees. There's monkeys all over the place. Again, big bugs, really big bugs.
That's Africa.
Yeah, that's Africa. But we could go on a safari for the weekend.
Yeah.
That doesn't suck.
Yeah.
So we did.
Although those can be costly as well, but I think they have local prices, right?
Yeah, you can, with your visa, you get a discount. It's not like, oh my God, it's so cheap, we should do this every weekend, but it would definitely helped a lot. We also could go to Zanzibar. It was like a 45-minute flight to Zanzibar.
See Freddie Mercury's,
Yeah, birthplace. I'm sure he has a home.
Did you ever go? Right. So did you ever go with Kiboko Safari out of Arusha?
You know what? I think we did.
Did you really? We need to talk more about that then, because Juma.
Wait, Kiboko. That sounds familiar. I might have done that because I did one of those packages.
Hippo.
Yeah, you go in, you pay. So I had to get my mom to wire money to Africa, because this was back when, before there's Wise or any kind of bank transfer, like easy transfers. So my mom in Canada transferred the money to Africa, and she said, "You sure?" And I said, "Yeah, like I need to pay for this." And then I get my own guide. He picked me up at the airport and he brings me to some of the best hotels, beautiful, like luxury camping, glamping sort of style as well in the Serengeti. And I'm alone in one of these safari trucks, and I see other people crammed in, and I'm by myself. And every time I saw somebody by themselves, I was like, "Ooh, that must be a millionaire because they're by themselves." And then I realized, wait, I'm not a millionaire and I'm by myself. They're thinking that about me. But it might have been
the ITP
Kiboko.
Brought to you by maybe Kiboko Safaris. If you guys know,
definitely.
Shout out
Trina
to Godwin.
And John.
Godwin is still on my Facebook. He was my guide. He was amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Trina and Juma are my friends. They live in the States now, but we were in Egypt together. Karen, you mentioned AIC. They taught in Egypt. She was first grade, I think, and Juma, long story, but she's married to a guy from Tanzania now, and they have a safari named Kiboko, and I went back in 2004 on a safari, and we'll have to do a whole nother episode just on safaris, because safaris, if you lived in Dar es Salaam, wow, and our world is still really small.
Yeah, they are absolutely magical. I did almost give one of our guides a heart attack because we saw a lion, and he's just lying around looking like he's taking a nap. So I opened the window and started calling to him, like, "Come on, Kitty." And he said, "Put your hand inside the window." Oh my gosh. Seriously, I think I must have taken 10 years off his life, honestly.
They're not kitty cats.
They are not. We've been seeing cats in the background, so obviously
they'll sense that I'm a kindred spirit and they won't hurt me. I'm sure.
Oh, okay. I'm sure that really went well for the safari guide.
Yeah, definitely. I have a really good safari story, but I don't want to take up too much time with it. So
go for it. We want to hear it. We want to hear it.
You want to hear it? Okay. So this was my very first safari. We were living in Ghana and we went to Kenya.
Oh.
And we were staying at a lodge and we went on an early morning drive. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. And they said, well, what do you really want to see? I said, lions. Of course, I want to see lions. Said, oh, we haven't had any lions in the park in a few months. We think they've left and that's it. But we'll drive around. You'll see elephant, you'll see giraffe, you'll see hippo, blah, blah. So we're driving around and I'm very long-sighted. I can't see jack shit up close, but I'm very long-sighted. And so we're driving along and the sun's just coming up and I see something. I said, wait, what's that? And the guide stopped and it was a lioness lying across a hill and the sun was just rising over her, like very easy to miss. So we stopped and, I'm just like watching her mesmerized. It's my first time seeing a lion.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking like Lion Queen here.
It was amazing. And then she got up and started walking through the brush toward us. And then a giant male joined her. And then another lioness joined her. And pretty soon it was the whole pride. There were probably 3 or 4 males, 5 or 6 females, and then the cubs came out. And they were playing, I kid you not, 5 meters from our Jeep. And, they thought they were all gone. It was like...
You were the lion whisperer.
I don't know what I was so lucky. Like I didn't want to leave. I could have watched them all day.
I have a lion story too.
That's the thing. Yeah. You don't want to leave.
Yeah, I'm going to match you on that one. But this is before I went on safari. This is when we were teaching at school and Juma and Trina had they had a party one night. And I didn't know who Juma was. I just went there and I had just gotten to know the teachers we were 1 year. Anyway, we're sitting there and we're in having drinks in the living room. And I went into the kitchen to make a drink. And there's this man sitting there talking to a bunch of other people. And he's talking about the sound of lions. And he's like, they were grunting. And I said, lions don't grunt, they roar. I mean, haven't you seen like the TV, like the shows? And I mean, roar, lion, right? The lion roar. And he goes, who are you? He says, I am Juma. I am from Arusha. I grew up with, I'm like, what? Oh, stick my foot in my mouth. And I had no idea about this. I felt like such an idiot. He explained that he grew up with lions and elephants and everything else. And I'm like sitting here going, and he goes, well, listen, we're going to lead a safari for like 30, whoever wants to go from school during Easter. And this is like October. And I said, I'll go.
I want to hear the lions grunt.
I'll go. I stuck my foot in my mouth so far. Here's this guy that knows everything about everything from Africa. Grew up there. It's his life. And ever since then, we've been good friends. But yeah, nice. The lions. Oh my God. I had a chance to see the lion, the lion's share, like the idea of the lion's share where the male, they had radioed ahead and the trucks all talk to each other and they say, oh, there's a lion kill. They had killed a wildebeest and the lion pride is there feasting. Mm-hmm. And we went there and there's about 4 or 5 trucks and we're only a couple meters away. The flies are amazing. It's just, but we watched and all of a sudden the driver says, look, and down from the hill, sashays, the male alpha.
Oh boy.
Like coming down from the hill. And he just sashays right up and Ooh. Just every other lion that's feasting right there, that's got like, they're cutting into bone and everything with their jaws. Every one of them scrammed except for one female. She just kept eating. And he just tackled her, kicks her away. And then he just, sits there all by himself and eats the lion's share. It was amazing to watch all of this happen.
Share, that's
all the other lions are sitting in a circle around him, going, like licking themselves and cleaning themselves, thinking, "Yeah, well, we got to wait till
it was good while it was lasting."
Done, right? Oh my God! Yes, what a great episode this is for stories.
Can I share my story?
Yes.
You're up real quick. I was in it was the glamping in Serengeti, and there was like pathways to get from your sort of tent to the common area, which was the lobby, the hotel lobby, and restaurant. And so I take the pathway, and I ran into a Maasai warrior with the spear, and he's wearing his traditional blanket, and I asked him, I said, just to check, that's the restaurant that way? And he said, yes. And I said, if I went that way and I pointed off the path, he said, please don't. I said, oh, so like stay on the path? He said, yes, that is my job, to keep you on the path, because off the path, there will be lions. And I was like, okay,
Yes.
we will definitely be staying on the path then. And so I just remember thinking, if I had just decided to go off path and walk around the whatever, not tundra, but, sort of the brush that is surrounding this camp, yes, then I would be having all the Maasai warriors come running because this stupid white chick was walking into the wilderness. So yes, stay on the path, and they can control everything. Yep. So
two things though, JP, two things. Number one, the Maasai guy that was dressed up for like the campers and stuff, he had an AC/DC t-shirt on underneath. I swear to God, I know it for sure. And number two, when I was there, and I'm sure Karen, you were too, that they had signs up in the Serengeti that said, animals will eat you.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe we got there during the daytime and enough time to see a look around a little bit, but they said, do not, right? And even at night, the chefs all sit around a campfire and sort of watch out, guard, because the animals do wander in. There's the tent is just between you and a hyena or you and a lion at night.
Those tents are nothing more than snack bags for lions.
See, spoken from a woman who lived there.
That's all those things are. That is not protection at all. You're in a baggie, a snack bag.
Everybody has to go on safari. Everybody has to at some point in their life. It
was a once in a lifetime trip. Yeah. And really you got it a few times. Yeah. So you were in Dar es Salaam for a few years to be able to explore the safaris, and
it was after.
All right, let's take a moment for a little commercial about how to get in touch with us. You can, of course, find all four of us at the ITPexpat.com. That's www.itpexpat.com.
Or you could also find us at email at internationalteacherpodcast@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Or if you're into Facebook, we have a new Facebook group at www.facebook.com/groups/ITPexpat, where you can find all kinds of inside information about ITP Expat.
You can also find us on Instagram at International Teacher Podcast. This is our handle.
All right. And thank you, listeners. We have over 100 countries represented by our listeners. And though we're not monetized, we are here for you. And we would like to thank all of you for listening. So let's get back to the show.
After Tanzania, we went to Qatar, which leads to another fun story. So Qatar is somewhat conservative, as I'm sure Greg can attest to. Maybe not as much as Saudi, but it's still conservative. So when we signed the contracts for the school, they're like, you guys, you're not married right now, right? And we're like, no. And they're like, well, if you want to live together, you have to be married. So we're like, oh, great. So Mike's mother, my husband's mother, was thrilled. She's, Lebanese Arab woman. She doesn't like saying my son's girlfriend. She hated it. So she was thrilled. But we decided we're not going to do a big wedding. We're just going to go to the city office in Dar es Salaam. So we did. We went down there. So in Dar es Salaam, you have to post the notification for at least 30 days. First.
Mexico as well. Yeah. Okay. You have to let everybody know.
So we went in to fill out the paperwork. And this dude is, he was something else. We're filling out the paperwork to apply for our marriage license. And, we have for Mike, it says bachelor's name. So Mike puts his name there. For me, spinster's name. Yes, I'm the spinster. Yep. So I had to put my name, and I'm like, I don't like this, but okay. Then the guy says, all right, there's 3 types of marriage licenses you can have. You can have monogamous, you can have polygamous, or you can have potentially polygamous. And he's just talking to Mike. I'm not even, a forethought there. And he's telling Mike, you should go for the potentially polygamous. And I'm like,
Oh my God.
the couch is cold and lonely. I'm just telling you right now. And then he goes, don't you have a sister? And I said, yeah, I have 2. One's crazy and one has 3 kids. Which one would you like? And so Mike's like, no. He's like, I'm going to go with a monogamous marriage. And I'm like, yeah, good choice. So we had to go post the notice down in the city hall, and there it stayed for 30 days. 30 days later, we come back and we're going to get married. We buy flowers from some guy on the street who's selling his flowers. We've got a few friends of ours that are taking the morning off. They're going to come and be our witnesses. We get there and the guy again, are you sure you want a monogamous marriage?
Oh, wow.
You really shouldn't. He said, you should do at least the potentially polygamous, just in case. You don't know. Like, she has sisters. I couldn't believe this guy. In the end, Mike knew he'd better choose monogamous. So that's what our marriage license says.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the spinstress turned bride and wife.
Bride. Yeah, I don't even know if it said that on the license, to be honest with you. I think it's just, it's a little bit outdated. So
then you
do
were
you even
officially
have your
married?
name on there, or is it just his name on the marriage?
No, gosh, no.
Both of our names are on there because we had to get it. What is it called? When you have to get it notarized and stuff. So both of our names.
I'm
just kidding. It was just funny that
it's such a fun
there's
story,
a couple extra
it's
blanks
like
in
Mike
there for later.
And property.
Yeah, Mike and property. Oh God.
You could get one of those T-shirts. Property of Mike. Okay, so you moved to Qatar, legitimately married. Then you were able to live together.
Yep.
And
we did our 3 years there.
Kindergarten still, and math, high school.
He was still high school math. I was teaching 2nd grade by then. Yeah, I've now actually taught every single grade. So from KG2, I haven't taught pre-K. I work with pre-Ks now, but I haven't taught pre-K. So 3 fairly uneventful years, I think, in Qatar. And then from there, believe it or not, we went back to Egypt for another 2 years. And they were actually
same school.
Same school. Yep.
Huh?
I mean, they're like, no questions asked. Of course, we'll take you back. So we figured, let's just go to Egypt. So we were just a little unsettled, not sure where we really wanted to go from there. So we did that. I taught 2nd grade my first year there, and then 4th grade. And I have to say, it was probably the toughest class I've ever taught. I had some challenging kids in there, but the worst was their parents. Student parents can be such a pain in the ass. Oh my goodness. I would come in sometimes and I would have an email from this one mom. I swear it must have taken her an hour to write it. It would just go on and on and on. And it got to the point where my principal and assistant principal, because she always copied them, they're like, from now on, get an email from her. Don't even read it. Don't even open it. We'll take care of it. Because she was just cuckoo bananas. Yeah. So I had very good support there.
Yeah.
Very, very
supportive admin.
Yeah. So from there, we went to Vietnam. So that was a huge change for us.
First time in Asia.
First time in Asia. Yeah. Out of the Middle East into Asia, the humidity. Well, Ghana was humid too, in Tanzania. But it was, man, that was different. Living in Ho Chi Minh City, had a scooter, learned to drive a scooter.
Yep.
Learn how to walk cross the street without slowing down or speeding up. That was my advice by a local. It was like, do not just cross the street. People will go around you because there are just so many bikes and scooters. They'll just flow around you. Yeah.
It's just, and when you're on your bike, it's the same thing, whether you're walking or on a bike. So I did break my wrist on my scooter. That was kind of a bummer. Got into a little accident. The other guy took off, of course. But other than that, Ho Chi Minh was fun. Made some really, really good friends there. I mean, that's one of the joys of international teaching. You really do make lifelong friends. My husband, he loves to play board games. And so, there was a group of them that got together every week without fail. They would go to different apartments and play board games together. And then COVID hit, of course, at our last year there. So they learned how to play board games online. So we found some platform that will host it, and they would all get together online and do the board games. And from there, we got hired to go to Nigeria. So Nigeria, it's considered another hardship posting. We got there, I think, the middle of our first year because of COVID, just getting visas and things like that. That was a rough re-entry back into the world. Lagos was not an easy place to live. I know some people managed quite well. I really struggled. We got carjacked twice by the police.
Oh,
by the
I was
police.
Like, ooh, and then you said police, and I thought, no.
What they do is they wait for you to pull up to a light. And if your tires go a centimeter over the line, they take a picture of it, and then they pull you over and shake you down. So they'll get right in the car with you, and they'll wait. They've got all day to wait for you to give them money.
Wow. And there's no snack bar that you can just say, here's a granola bar.
I was going to say, granola does not work there. Hard cash.
They wanted cash. It was really weird. And it was, you could always tell when it was going to be bad when tuition at the schools was due. So like the people at our school would send a notice out, all right, tuition's going to be due. Be careful driving this weekend because people are going to be looking for ways to get money. So
these are the realities of living overseas, these little things that you don't know until you get there.
Yeah.
And you learn that, like in Cambodia, I learned that, they're just after money for lunch. They don't get paid anything. So you give them, they'll shake you down for anything. Even if your light does work, they'll say your light doesn't work. You'll show it to them and they'll still be like, I need $5.
Yeah.
I got to pay for lunch.
Right. Yeah. And every country's got its own little uniquity, right, about that. What a great story. Wow.
When we were in Ho Chi Minh, I mean, the shakedowns from the police there it didn't happen to us, but it happened to quite a few of our friends. And one of my students was telling me his older sister had gotten a job with the police, but over there, you have to pay your way into the police force.
Wow.
Yeah, you and it's not cheap. It's like $40,000 US. You get
to become a police officer.
To become a police, because you're paying for your position. So you get your position in the police as a police officer, and now you can accept payouts. So that $40,000,
gotta make it back.
Yeah, you're going to make it back quite easily. Wow. So yeah, it's always interesting, right? So so we were in Lagos. Unfortunately, because we were there after COVID and there was like an oil crisis at the same time, the school lost about 30% of its students. Maybe even more than that. So they were just making cutbacks left and right, and they were changing benefits mid-contract. So we said adios and took a job here in Bahrain, and this is where we've been for the last 4 years.
Wow. While you were talking, I was like going with you. I was taking the plane, I was flying there. I mean, I could kind of picture your globe trotting. But really, when you think about it, you've been concentrated mostly in like Northern Africa and Middle East, with Italy in their, sort of Mediterranean.
Got to go to Latin America. But there's a lot of stories down there.
Yeah. Well, Greg, funny you mentioned that. Mike and I we went to a job fair in Bangkok a few weeks ago, and we were offered positions for a school in Brazil.
Which job fair was it?
It was the GRC.
GRC is one of those that we haven't really talked about on the show, but they're growing leaps and bounds. I know. Yeah. JP, you were at a GRC back in 2017 or something, weren't you?
16 and 17 in Dubai.
Yeah.
So,
and then I went
Karen,
to one
can we talk a little bit about that process? Because I think, we're right in the recruitment season.
The GRC was actually founded by some heads of schools who were totally fed up and frustrated with the ridiculous fees that they're charged by some of the other larger recruiting agencies. So Deb Welsh, who was our head of school when we were in Qatar, she founded it with some other heads of school at the time that we were there. So she kind of told us about it so we could check it out. It's completely free to recruiters and teachers. They have a website, you sign up, you get your references. It's not like the most fancy platform. If you're with a spouse or a teaching partner, it doesn't link you.
You have to, search separately.
Yeah, you have to kind of do it separately and make sure that you're communicating that. But like we've been really lucky. We've done really, really well with them. I think we had signed up 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I guess, with Search and GRC. We got our jobs through GRC so quickly that we never used Search, and Search actually refunded us our membership fee.
Wow.
Ooh.
I know, shocking.
Yeah, that's unheard of.
What does GRC stand for, by the way?
Global Recruitment Collaborative.
Got it. And that's because they really don't have a necessarily an office. They don't have a place like the other.
I think Bombay,
right?
Mumbai. I think
they're based out of maybe India, where they have their right, but they don't have a building like these other.
No,
right? Search Associates has got their regions and everything. Right. GRC is newish on the scene, but
10 years.
Yeah. And they have the website is amazing. It's very easy. It's based on like
what
the
I love
other
is it's
formats.
Free for candidates.
Right?
It's free for schools, and they have some of the top schools signed up with them.
They're attracting a lot of schools and candidates.
Yeah, you're just able to like get in and start. And I don't know if this is still true, but the reference section used to be 3 questions. Well, no, sorry, 3 answers. It was 1 question to your admin that was sent by email. And the question was, would you hire this person again?
I remember that.
And the answer was yes, no, or it's a conversation.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all they asked. They didn't ask them to fill out forms or, upload any reference letters. They just wanted to cut to the chase. If you would hire this person again, then, that's good enough for us. That's all the reference we need.
Question. So either of you can answer this, I'm sure. I was under the impression that earlier in the process, earlier in the years when they were younger, it was like invitation only. Like if you knew somebody that word of mouth could invite you. Is it still that way, or can anybody still go to this?
I don't, because I joined it when we were in Doha, and so we were a member school.
Yeah. So at first it was member schools, and then slowly their membership has really opened. That my advice is always try. Like I think anyone with an international school address, an email address, they do want you to sign up with your work email address. Anyone with an international school address, I think, can sign up. Whether you're accepted or not, I don't know the toggle switch is very hard.
Listeners to go check out the website and do your own research.
GRCfair.org,
right?
I think it
is.
And
do it. No matter. I mean, don't wait and think you can't do it. But that's a great advice, JP and Caryn. Yeah.
And so you went to the job fair in Bangkok. So after a few years, they expanded into a couple of places. This year, they're in Amsterdam and Bangkok, and they're skipping
Europe.
Dubai.
They're doing one in Dubai.
They're also doing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't see that one, but the Taiwan, and then they're doing one in Atlanta with Amisa. So they've really spread out. They've started to do a number, but GRC in Bangkok, I've always heard, has been quite successful, quite big. Did you get that feeling like, wow, there's a lot of schools, a lot of jobs here?
There were, I think, 35 to 40 schools crammed into a very small room. You can imagine the noise level there. There were some great schools there, really, really solid offerings, loads of positions for early in the year, because this was October. And that's very early in the year for recruiting. Usually a lot of schools don't require you to give notice until December 1st. But some schools are growing, like China's growing like crazy. So some schools are growing, and some people, they know they're going to look elsewhere, like my husband and I. So
I've heard some schools pay their returning candidate or the returning staff money in August if they let them know. So that could be also why they're getting advance notice.
When we were in Doha, they actually, if we gave them our notice by October 15th, even if we were leaving, they gave us like $250.
Yeah. Well, I've heard $1,000.
It depends on the school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I need something like that.
I know. $1,000 in August. Oh, Greg has a question.
Yes. Thanks for calling on me. No, my question is just in regards to the job fair. Did they have at the GRC, did they have in-room interviews
the hotel
again?
room interviews.
Hotel room interviews? Okay.
Yes, they did.
I'm just double checking. It's been a while since I've been to one. Some of the recruiting agencies are starting to have like more of a common area as well as the hotel rooms.
It was a mix. So some schools were doing it in their rooms, like if they'd had a suite. So you're not like interviewing in a bedroom, which is always kind of weird. But others were just interviewing down in the coffee shop or in a restaurant or wherever.
So my book information is still valid.
Hey, second edition. Finding the right fit on www.amazon.com or
wherever
to make
you
sure
find
it's all
your
updated,
books. You know, because things are changing at lightning speed. And I think my second book did include GRC. My first one didn't because, of course, it wasn't on my radar at the time. But since then, I have been to a GRC and mentioned, I think I did edit that out into the book. I can't remember.
The folders are gone. So how did you get messages? Right. Just by email then, I guess, Caryn?
Yeah. Everything's by app now, right?
Yeah. No, not an app.
There was no app. Yeah, I don't know if other recruiters have that, but GRC didn't have an app. No, it's just emails. Just check your email. No big deal.
Got it.
Well, the days of the folders.
The last ISS that I went to a few years back, they had an app that was used, and I think it's because they're a little bit bigger organization. I mean, GRC slims things down to keep the cost down of, for everybody involved, for the schools and for the people that they're matching up, right? So I can see why they wouldn't go for an app. I can't remember the name of the app, but our school, my current school, used it again. Can't
ISS?
Remember. I'm looking real quick, but that's okay. It's all digital these days, though. They don't do mailboxes. It's not a paper trail anymore. That's good to hear about GRC, though, and it is successful for a lot of teachers looking for international jobs. Now that they're in Atlanta this year, that's going to open up and Europe. Right, that's the fascinating
Amsterdam
part
is
about
big,
GRC.
and AMISA, and then the Taiwan. So, Caryn, can we ask? Did you get interviews? Did you get feelers put out there?
All of the above. We were actually contacted by the school in Brazil. They reached out to us, which is always a good warm fuzzy feeling. And we were like, I've never heard of this school. South America, we're looking at the top tier schools, and then we said, no, we're going to definitely go on this interview. You should always interview, no matter what.
Yes.
So we did, and it was such a good interview. And then he was very interested in us, the head of the school, and he said, what I really want to do is I want both of you to interview with the principals tomorrow. They're still in Brazil. He's in Bangkok, so it's, I don't know, like a 12-hour time difference or something crazy like that. So we had Zoom interviews the next morning at 7 a.m. Both of us, exhausted. It's their nighttime. It's 9 p.m. for them. But so we had interviews again, and then we were offered positions. We are just now at this point, we're supposed to get our contracts today. They're having a problem with their electronic signature platform, how to do that. So we're expecting to get our contracts in the next
that's it? Is job search done?
I think so. I mean, I want to review the contract carefully and make sure there's no hidden things like, oh, by the way, you have to teach summer school. That happened in Italy.
Oh no.
It wasn't even in our contract. They're like, oh, we thought we told you. And like, no, you never told us, and we're not doing it.
Well, you've been down the road before. You've been to how many schools now? Is that you've mentioned 7?
I think 7, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be on 8. I'm taking a year off to be with my dad. I'm taking dad-tirement year. So like a gap year at 57.
He's really
I'm
trying to
taking a
make it
gap
happen.
year. But I can't wait to report about this whole thing and keep the interviews going. But I'm interested in what my life will take a turn for in the next year. Having a year off of school after 7. Like you, I've been overseas for 25 years now.
Wow.
And like JP, we've all been around the block. But it's interesting, and I love hearing from other teachers that have really had the experience of so many job fairs, so many different international schools. And you're married, so you have that to add to the conversation too. It's been a really, I don't know where to go next with this interview. I think maybe some questions.
I want to know, Caryn. So you've already told us a police story from Lagos, but I want to know, in all your moving, what are 3 things you need, and they can't have heartbeats? I'm looking at the kitty behind you.
Oh, okay.
What are 3 things you need to make you feel at home in your new location?
I always travel with my pillow, my favorite pillow, because I'm not a good sleeper, so that's essential. I have this stainless steel Pampered Chef garlic press. I have had this thing for at least 30 years. And I cook a lot, you know?
The thing that you just squeeze together and it comes out in little...
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I know it sounds silly, but this thing works so well. And, you know, it's held up for 30 years. It's a miracle. So I always have that. And then, what else I mean, obviously a Kindle, but that's kind of, oh, I know. This is a little embarrassing to admit. I have a stuffed dog that I've had him since I was a newborn baby. He was a gift from my grandmother, and I still have him. I don't sleep with him anymore because he'll fall apart. I just have him.
What's its name?
Doggy.
Well, you were an infant when you probably named it.
Do you have him in a glass encased or something?
No.
I'm surprised he's made it through so many customs checks and everything. You know, seriously,
because
some of those are pretty brutal.
Open looking for stuff.
No, I keep him in my bag with me. He travels with me.
That is awesome that you've got something that means so much to you that it goes with you everywhere like that.
He comes everywhere with me for sure.
I love it.
Doggy.
Well, okay. I mean, Greg, what do you think? I think we have time for one more police story. Surely she has
we've got time for oodles.
All right, Caryn, give us another police story if you have one.
Story. Well, let's see. We had the granola bars, and the peanut butter crackers in Ghana. Okay, Tanzania. So Tanzania, another area where, you know, the police don't get paid much at all. So, you know, I kind of get it. And I was in our car one day on my way to get my massage, as expats do. And there was a police roadblock. So I pulled over and I foolishly rolled down my window. A policewoman came up to my window, knocked it down, and I rolled it down and I'm like, yes, what do you need? And she reached in, unlocked the door, and because it was an electric one, so it like unlocked all the doors, and she got in the car with me. And she makes herself at home, sits down, and she's like, you do not have the sticker. And I'm like, yes, I do. It's right there. It is up to date. She's looking around. She's like, where's your triangle? And I said, it's right there. It's in the back. Here, see, show it to her. So she's just going through this list. You know, you can tell she's did a list of things that she's, and I'm like, I've got an answer for everything. And she's like, you need to pay. You need to pay me now. You need to give me money. And I said, no, I don't need to give you money. I've done nothing wrong. I have, everything is fine. I'm not doing it. She's like, then we'll go to the police station. I said, fine, we'll go. I don't mind. I'll drive right over there. You tell me how to get there and we'll go. She's like, I think we understand each other. And I said, yes, I think I understand you. You want money for nothing. I'm not giving it to you. There. And she said, okay. And she got out and she left.
It worked.
No snack bar for her.
So that one worked.
We'd been pulled over there so many times. Like my husband was driving one time. We were coming back from the beach. And do you remember that?
Oh, Mike's there.
Coming back. He's down here now. Woke up from his nap. Yeah. And I don't know. We ended up just giving the guy money, I think. Yeah. Sometimes you just don't want to deal with it, you know, but I was feisty that day.
And you didn't mind, you pulled out the ultimate sort of counter is, okay, let's go to the police station then.
Yep.
And that's
I
oftentimes what they recommend is you say that.
Yeah.
And they'll say, yeah, maybe not.
Maybe not.
It's not
Sometimes
worth my
they
time.
think you're a tourist, right? Color of skin, or
Right.
depending on what part of the town you're in, etc. And they might just pull that gringo card. I call it the gringo card, and they pull you over because of you're a foreigner, and they think they can extortion, get some kind of a money out of you. But if you live there long enough, and you've learned from the people that have been before you and shared with these stories with you, either through experience or from learning, you don't put up with that, and you know where the boundary is, so you can call them on it. Right.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
I've told my Venezuelan stories, pulled over by cops. I've told my Cambodia stories and stuff, but I love that story because you stood your ground and you're like, nope, let's go. Well, let's go to
it's a first time you hear a success where the person just got out of the car and said, okay, I guess not today.
I was shocked. I was late for my massage though, which really ticked me off.
But it shows experience. It shows the fact that once you've lived there for a while in country, and you get to have a little bit harder skin living in so many countries, that you handle things differently and cautious in the beginning. But as you learn to live in a country, it's much different than if you're just visiting or touristy, etc. Right? That's
true.
So true. And it's great to hear from a seasoned teacher to say these things, because if I say I'm on, there's people are like, whatever, Greg, whatever. But hearing from you, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So, Caryn, while we're wrapping up, is there anything you want to share with the ITP audience? Let's think, because of your experience, let's think about that person that's sitting at home, has never been abroad, is a little afraid. What can you kind of give them as advice that will convince them to put in that application for overseas?
I'll tell you, I've never looked back. I wasn't sure about going international. And I had a conversation with my mom from that very first job fair. I called her up and I said, well, 3 different places have offered me jobs. So I don't know what to do. And she said, you know what? She's like, just take one of them and go. She's like, if it's terrible, you can fly home. It's not like, you're trapped there forever. If it's really, really a bad experience, you can always go back home. And of course, with that in my mind, it never, ever happened. I haven't never looked back. I've never wanted to go back and teach in the States, especially now, given the current political climate. I'm very, very happy to be overseas. Not that other countries don't have their problems. I mean, when you live in these other countries, you certainly do get a flavor of the politics and the bureaucracy and the hypocrisy that might be taking place in all of these countries. But as an expat, you're somewhat sheltered from it. There's a bit of a buffer as you're in your expat bubble that helps you to just kind of say, oh, well, that's for them, not for me. When I was in Egypt, that happened all the time.
Well, and I think also, we know it's a sort of temporary challenge. Like, if we're not living there permanently, this isn't going to be our life from now on. So, you can take 2, 3, 4 years.
Contract, right? Yeah. 2 years out of your life.
That, and just ask a lot of questions, even if you think that they're silly questions or, they're questions that might be offensive to someone. If you have that question, you should ask it because it's obviously important to you. Like asking questions about salary. How do I get paid? Do I get paid in dollars? Is it direct payment? Is it, what's the system there? Like, you have to ask those questions because you don't know otherwise. Sometimes, a school might be a little bit sneaky about that. And take advantage of the internet. I mean, there are so many international teaching Facebook groups and other social groups. If you have questions about a school, ask it. I mean, there are people out there who can help you and answer those questions. Like if you have any doubts or whatever. But I definitely, it has just been an amazing, amazing 25 years. I've traveled the world. Here, really interesting. Before I even thought about becoming a teacher, like I never even crossed my mind. I was working for an insurance company. I went to a woman who was like a witch. That's kind of like what she was known as.
In Maine?
She said, handle some cards and I'm going to tell you what's going on. So I did. And she told me, she's like, you're going to have an address change. and you're going to have this amazing job opportunity, and you're not going to be sure about taking it or not. You should take it. You're going to live a life that most people only dream of. You're going to meet people that it's just going to blow your mind. You're going to experience things and have this amazingly rich life.
She said this
financially. She did. You're this amazingly rich with experiences life. And I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, yeah, whatever,
Yeah, witch.
Yeah,
whatever.
I really didn't. And then, a few years after I started teaching, and I've been traveling, and I'm like, holy shit, she was right. That's really creepy and scary, but it's amazing how it worked out. Like, I have zero regrets. I think another podcast you guys should do is like amazing trips that you've had while overseas.
Ooh.
Man, I've been on some
amazing. Talk for hours. We could talk for hours, right? We already talked about safari, but that doesn't even begin to.
Doesn't scratch the surface.
Not even.
Think of the historical places that you've been able to go to all over the world. And
Caryn, I think we could talk for hours, just like sit down. And I mean, that's most international teachers.
Here's the thing: we would like to invite you back.
There you go.
When if ultimately Brazil, because this is going to open a whole new continent to you.
Only if she tries out my app, though.
Please.
You know what? I need my husband to use it. I'm really good with student names. Him, not so much.
There you go. You need to pre-flight that one.
What's
he needs to pre-flight
student's name? Is that what it's called?
I would have loved that student. In Vietnam. I had a really hard time there. You know what? I would love to come back because I don't know if I mentioned this to you, Jacqueline, when we first talked a few months ago now, that I've been writing books. And I've written one book that is, I've always, once I started teaching for a few years, I decided I could write some books about this, about these experiences, because it's not like I'm a tourist. I'm living and breathing this culture. So I wrote my first book. It's a high fantasy for middle grades book that has environmental aspects to it, as well as mythology, local mythology and folklore from Egypt. And then my next book is going to be Tanzania. And then the next
Are they published? Is this a book that's published yet?
Where can we find this?
The first book it has been edited by a freelance editor. I haven't gone through her notes yet. And then I need to get it published. So I'll probably end up just self-publishing it. But each book is going to take place in one of the countries that we've lived in. And my dream has been for my series to end in South America in the rainforest. So it's very, what's the word I want there when it all comes together?
Kismet?
It'll work.
Kismet? Yeah. Okay.
Serendipitous
as well.
The Kismet series.
The Kismet series. I like that.
I love it.
Well, yes. So we would love to have you back because I feel like we just scratched the surface with the number of stories you have, and then you can share with us all the South American adventures.
Yay, I can't wait.
All right.
Next time we'll have your husband on there too at the same time, so you guys can tell stories about being a teaching couple through all of this.
Oh yes, he'll have. There'll be a little bit of eye rolling, but I guess that won't really come across to the podcast.
With cats,
but it is a vodcast as well.
Oh, okay.
That's how we keep mentioning your cats, and we're sorry to miss the cat guy, right? But he would have enjoyed the cats in the back. He would have just kept saying, "Oh, your cat's going crazy."
6 a.m. Kent's time, so I can understand.
All right. So, final thoughts. Let's start with Caryn. Final thoughts for. I know you just gave a whole bunch, but final thoughts about anything.
Man, I love my life. I think I'm one of the luckiest people in the world because I love my job teaching. I'm currently doing special education, and I can do my job and travel. And, if I'd stayed home, I don't think I would have these opportunities. So I just I just think I'm born under a lucky star or something.
Very nice.
JP?
Well, I want to thank Caryn for coming on to the show. It's been a fast hour, so you know that it was entertaining when you didn't even notice. Like, I've been watching the sun set in your background, and the sun has risen in my and it without even noticing. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
you.
And I really do hope you come back, especially if the big move to South America. That will be fantastic.
That would be fun. I think there's going to be some culture shock going from the Middle East to Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my final thought is, before I bring it to an end, my final thought is actually, I think, Caryn, you have definitely cemented and proven something that I have been preaching for years, and I've learned from other people. Every seasoned international teacher, meaning they've been in multiple countries, been teaching overseas 20 plus years, no matter who you talk to that it fits that kind of category, the successful ones, we all say, just like you said on our podcast, I'll say it again, is that don't say no to the interview in that little country, that little school that you know nothing about. Mm-hmm. At least go to the interview, because that's where your stories come from. And that's where your unique experiences come from. I've heard it from at least 1,000 different people that I have talked to in the last 25 years, and you are cementing it here and giving us proof on the interview, on the ITP. Don't say no to those little interviews, right?
Take
those
a chance.
Take a chance and go over that edge.
Yeah.
2 years, that's a contract. You will come away with the chance of having amazing stories.
Absolutely.
So yay. I do want to say thank you very much to Caryn Pelletier, or how did you say Pelletier?
Pelletier.
Yeah.
Pelletier. If you want to be French, you can say Pelletier.
Yeah.
I will say thank you for being our guest today. And audience, just remember that she does have a book coming out. As soon as it's published, we will put it on and make an announcement. We will see her again on the show. And don't forget, listeners, that she is not a possible polygamous marriage. It is a monogamous marriage. They did not check the possible polygamous.
They checked the box.
Right?
I had no box to check anyway, so.
Oh my
exactly.
gosh.
And thank you, JP, for running this interview. Thank you, Caryn, for being here.
First time host. Woo-hoo!
JP Mint from JP Mint Consulting. You can find her website online and be one of her flock if you would like to have some help with that and getting into international teaching. Or if you're seasoned, you can be part of her flock and be successful even more. I don't know what else I should say about that. You can find her at her website, jpmintconsulting.com.
All right, there we go.
Greg the Single Guy. I've got a couple of books out there, but you have to try and assess.
Oh, yes.
And
download
pre-flight.
the app.
Okay.
You need to be a beta tester for my app that just came out. It's called Who's That Student? Right?
Okay.
Just the name alone.
Exactly. Yeah. It's for anybody out there, but that's not the reason we have this show is because we have great guests like Caryn. So anyway, I made this long and drawn out. We don't have Kent. We don't have Darren the Family Guy. We will hopefully see them next episode on the International Teacher Podcast. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next episode. Woo-hoo!